you will surely die. Now you have to be very careful at this point and try to think with your spirit rather than your intellect, or you may never know fully how the devil approaches you, how he comes with such a clever temptation that seems so right to you, that seems so beautiful and desirable to you, and how he can sweep you off your feet and bring you into a position of compromise until you lose the most precious thing you ever had. So it's very important to you to understand that in this test, every man is tested, and he's tested constantly at this point. I'll share with you a little later how Jesus Christ was tested at this same point, and how you and I are tested by it constantly. It is not only one test. It is a test that is repeated over and over and over and over until the day that we leave this life. So it's very important to you and to me to understand what this test is. The devil came and did not deny the existence of God. He did not deny that God had created man. He accepted all that. He simply said that God has told you there's one thing you cannot do. And you cannot eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And I tell you, the devil is saying, that he isn't telling you the truth about this tree. He says if you eat of it, in the day that you eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you will die, but you will not die. Now, God had said you will. The devil says you won't. One of them is wrong. God says if you eat of it, in that day you will die. What is he saying? He's saying that you will lose your immortality and will become mortal. And when you become mortal, you will know what death is. You take a little child, it doesn't know it is mortal. It doesn't know someday it's going to die. The older it gets and the more knowing it has, the more knowledge it has, the more it knows, or he knows, she knows as an adult, that death is coming. But they didn't know at this time that they were immortal, or if they did, the comprehension was clouded by the devil. But God was saying, you will die. That is, your spirit, you, the real you, will be separated from God. And separation from God is what God calls death. Now, ultimately, physical death would be included, but when God talks about death, he first means the death of the spirit, or separation from him. The death of the spirit is not the cessation of the existence of the spirit. The spirit of man continues to exist, but it is in a state of separation from God. And therefore, that's called death in the sight of God. So he's saying that you will be separated from me, you will become mortal, and in knowing this, you will die. But the devil says that's not true. You will not die. But you will know, and you'll be like gods. And because it was a beautiful tree, and the fruit was good to the taste and lovely to look upon, the devil was able to play upon that and say, oh, it's all right. Go ahead. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. It isn't going to hurt you. It's not something bad. This is a beautiful thing. It's lovely. Go ahead and do it. And man reached out and ate of it. And in the moment that he did, his eyes were opened. That is, his inner eyes. And he knew. And a great fear came upon him as he knew. For what he knew scared him. Suddenly he knew his mortality. He knew he was going to die. He knew that God was gone. He knew that the gifts of God in him had died. He knew that this wonderful gift of the likeness of God in him was no longer there. His spirit felt alienated. He was not able to understand God. It was like a cover was placed over his eyes, It was like night came upon him, and there was never again any day. And God was like a blur in his mind, something to be afraid of, something to hide from. And a terrible feeling of alienation came over him, that he was alone in a bleak universe, and there was no God. There was no place to go. So he went to hide. He covered himself with fig leaves, which is symbolic of the cover-up that man developed at that moment and still has today, so that he's afraid to be real. He wants to cover up various things so that he appears what he is not. I'll never forget, after one of our telecasts, a young college girl wrote me who was in some kind of desperate trouble, and she said, "Oh, Mr. Roberts, please be real to me. Please answer my letter. And please talk to me, but when you talk to me, be real to me." And I could picture her, almost as I can picture Adam and Eve, when they knew mortality, knew death was coming, knew they were alienated from God, knew they no longer could grasp God and couldn't understand Him, and they couldn't walk and talk with Him, and they were as though they were lost. They wanted to cover up and hide and act like nothing had ever happened. I could see this girl who had lost something from her life. It was gone. And it had been precious to her now because she sees the value of what she's lost. And she wants to write to someone she believes is real. She doesn't want him to write back some unreal sort of answer, but to come back in a solid, scriptural, godly way and bring light upon her life and upon her path. And her request to me, "Mr. Roberts, please be real to me," had a great impact upon my life, to make me look inside myself and to see if I was covering up, to see if I were phony, to see if I were really real. So God came in the garden calling Adam, "Where are you?" And he said, "I hid myself because I was afraid." You see, before that, there'd been no fear. There'd only been gladness. It was hello God and hello man. It was a celebration of life. But now there's fear. And today, how many people are afraid of God? Are you afraid of God? Are you at the point where you don't know what to say to God? That you don't understand God? That He's beyond your comprehension? Well, if that's true, then it all goes back to what happened back there. For the devil was trying to get man to be master of his own fate and the captain of his own soul. He was trying to get him to be God. And he was attempting to get him to elevate his mind over his spirit. This was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You see, he had known goodness. He had known the goodness of God because after God had made it all, He said it's good. But now God is warning him about evil. He's saying evil is going to be bad. If you eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, evil will bring death and everything that death encompasses or means. Every funeral procession that you see means death. Every pain in your body suggests death. Every separation from anyone you love means death. Death is all around us. And God was saying when evil comes, evil is going to produce death. The devil is saying, "Oh no, evil isn't like that. It's beautiful. It's something that you'll want to do." But Jesus said that the devil comes to steal and kill and destroy. So you see, every day this is repeated in us. As the devil comes and gets us to, or tries to get us to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, to suppress our spirit, to elevate our intellect, to respond to life purely through our mind and body, to live in the flesh rather than in the spirit, to, for all intents and purposes, to deny the existence of ourselves as spiritual beings, to reject our Creator, to feel that we can make it, I can make it, I don't need God, I don't need to pay attention to anything in a responsible way. This power of choice I have, I can use as I please. If I want it, I'll do it. And He's saying this is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And if we eat of it like this, evil is going to produce death. And death is the suggestion of everything that's negative in life. everything that robs us of anything of value and brings any type of sadness or grief or gloom or sorrow or loss in our lives. So there was the elevation of the mind over the spirit, and today throughout the world, that's what's happening. Man is responding to life through his intellect. And when he loses his mind, he has to be locked up.